morning and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners meeting here on January 23rd, 2024. We'll now call this meeting to order. I would ask that you all silence your cell phones or any other electronic devices if you have a laptop or an iPad or something like that. If you could be so kind to silence those so that we don't interrupt the presenters and those in the audience. We're going to start out with our invocation by Pastor John Pierce from Ethnos Global Church, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mr. Alan Harris from Animal Services.
Before I pray, I would like to say again how honored I am to be here. It's always nice to see those faces that pop into my mailbox occasionally. I'm so sorry, with all of my grandkids' artwork, I don't have room for your photos, but you are being honorably recycled, so you'll be happy to know that. Let's pray. Father in heaven, you love laughter, you love us. We just are so privileged to be able to call you Father. Thank you, Lord, so much. Just right now, we want to pledge our allegiance to you. We're going to be pledging to our country in a few moments. And we have so much to be thankful for. Thank you, Lord, for those who serve us on this board. Thank you for our first responders who put their lives on the line every day, for our military who do the same, who have, and even our veterans who will be honored, I believe, today. We just are so thankful for all of your goodnesses to us. We honor you this morning, Lord, by just asking you for wisdom. I don't know what items of business will be brought to the commissioners today, but I just pray that you would give them wisdom for their work. And Lord, that you would give them unity. Thank you so much for our country, for Seminole County. And we just honor you by saying we love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Harris.
If you please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Pierce, and thank you, Alan, for doing that for us this morning. Next, we're going to move to our awards, presentations, and proclamations. And the way we're going to do this is how we've historically done it over the past year. We're going to have those proclamations read, and then we will take a photo opportunity at the end after all proclamations have been done. We will invite the recipient to give us a few words of wisdom if they desire, and then we'll wrap up with pictures and take a short break and get back to our regular agenda. First up is going to be a proclamation proclaiming Communications Center Specialist Ned Voska, United States Air Force Veteran of the Month. This is Commissioner Lockhart.
Commissioners, it is my honor to move the following proclamation of the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners recognizing United States Air Force Communications Center Specialist Ned Voska for his outstanding service to the United States and Seminole County. Whereas the brave men and women of our Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Space Force demonstrate a resolute spirit and unmatched selflessness, reminding us there are few things more American than giving of ourselves to make a difference in the lives of others. And whereas throughout our country's history, generations of service members have answered the call to leave their families, their jobs, and put their futures and even their lives on the line to valiantly defend our nation. And whereas for many service members, the sacrifice has ended in permanent injury or death, yet their spirit remains in the continued preservation of our freedoms and the promise of liberty. And whereas there are more than 30,000 living veterans in Seminole County who served our nation in times of peace and war. Through their service, they kept America strong. And whereas Communications Specialist Ned Voska is the proud son of a Yugoslavian officer who went missing in action during World War II. When he was just 10 years of age, he was sent to Buchenwald concentration camp in Germany for 6 months and was transferred to Limburg concentration camp for another 7 months. And whereas Communications Specialist Ned Voska, upon liberation from the German concentration camp and weighing only 47 pounds, was reunited with his family in 1950. He then obtained his visa and came to the United States through Ellis Island, New York. And whereas Communication Specialist Ned Voska wanted to say thank you to the United States for his and his family's liberation, he enlisted in the Air Force in January 1954 and obtained his United States citizenship in 1956 while still on active duty. He served honorably until October 1957. And whereas Communication Specialist Ned Voska moved to Winter Springs in 1962. From 1963 to 1972, he and 2 others served on the Vice Squad for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, combating LSD drug trafficking. He then became self-employed as a mechanical contractor, serving the community until his retirement in 1988. And whereas Communication Specialist Ned Voska has been a life member for over 30 years of the American Legion and Veterans of Foreign Wars, and as a former Vice Commander for the American Legion Post 243. He also had perfect membership in the Oviedo Rotary Club for 25 years and has been married for 66 wonderful years. And whereas Communication Specialist Ned Voska has brought great credit and distinction upon himself, the United States of America, the United States Air Force, and Seminole County, now therefore be it proclaimed that we, the Board of County Commissioners of Seminole County, Florida, express our gratitude, admiration, and respect for Communication Center Specialist Ned Voska for his outstanding service to the United States Air Force and the residents of Seminole County. Be it further proclaimed that this proclamation be presented to Communication Center Specialist Ned Voska, along with our sincere congratulations and recognition as Seminole County's Veteran of the Month, adopted this 23rd day of January, 2024.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, passed unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Voska. Thank you for your service. Sir, please, if you'd like to make a few comments, come up to the microphone here at the podium.
I thank you all for your time and your kindness. I thank my family and my wife to put up with me for 66 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your service. And stick around, we'll get some photos here in just a little bit. Our next proclamation is going to be proclaiming February 2024 Black History Month, and this will be read by Commissioner Andrea Herr. Commissioner?
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, I'm happy to move the following proclamation of the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming the month of February 2024 as Black History Month in Seminole County, Florida. Whereas Black History Month, or National African American History Month, was instituted in 1926 as Negro History Week by Dr. Carter G. Woodson of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And whereas President Gerald R. Ford officially recognized Black History Month during the 1976 United States bicentennial celebration as a time of great national significance to honor the accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And whereas the Association for Study of African American Life and History has designated the theme of 2024's Black History Month as Black Americans and the Arts. And whereas this year's theme underscores how Black Americans have greatly contributed to the visual and performing arts, literature, fashion, folklore, language, film, music, architecture, and culinary arts. And whereas Seminole County is proud to honor the contributions of Black Americans to the artistic history of our county, state, and nation. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners hereby proclaims the month of February 2024 as Black History Month in Seminole County and encourages all of our residents to join in celebrating the importance of Black Americans in our history. Adopted this 23rd day of January 2024.
Second. A motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. Here to accept this award will be Kenneth Harris. If you are here, sir, please come up and have a word with us. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm extremely honored to be the recipient of the Black History Month proclamation. I extend sincere thanks to Anthony Aramindia and Dana Bonde for making this recommendation. And I also thank Melanie Coons, along with her associates, as well as the January 23 Board of County Commissions, for accepting the recommendation. I'm very, very, very honored. I also want to thank my group member, the Power Artists, Sharon Hunt, Deborah Morris, Michelle Nemi, and Natasha Callahan. They've been supporting the arts community along with me over the years. Since we started as a group, we have done a lot in the art community, and the fact that I'm here to receive this honor is really resonating with me in the sense that the message has been extended, and I appreciate that. Also, Barbara Chandler is here with us as well. She is a very active member in the African American Community for the Arts. We have worked together over the years to promote art in our community. She has worked with me, volunteered with me at my frame company, and also there to promote, what we do in the art community. And then, lastly, my dear wife, Pauline, she's here with us as well. Let us see Pauline. She's not an artist. She's not an artist, but I'm telling you, she is such a great supporter. She's the one that really keeps our group in check. Okay, so I give her kudos for keeping us in check and having us, reaching this far. The Art of Healing community is, how should we put it now? We started our Art of Healing community, we started our Art of Healing community a few years ago, where we have artists present their work. We select pieces just to extend the importance of healing of art in our community. We went as far as creating our own local calendars called the Art of Healing Community Calendar. We started in 2021. And so what we do is we select pieces from submissions, and the ones that really suit healing is what we choose for our calendar. It's in circulation right now. We have printed 1,200 copies for 2024. If you wish to get some copies, our location is in Castleberry, Jam Arts at 304 Live Oaks Boulevard. We have copies there so you can actually get. This year's theme, Black Americans and the Arts, is very significant for me. I was born in Jamaica and lived in America for the past 27 years. I have been engaged in arts throughout all these years. My goal has always been to promote art in its positive impact and it has in our lives. It is a wonderful feeling to imagine something and then create an image of the imagination. My intentions over these years have been not only to share my passion, but to include other artists as well. I have done some classes just to give everyone who does think that they cannot do art a chance to really prove themselves wrong. Today brings us a new chapter. Today brings a new chapter in my life as an artist and a picture framer. This is an accomplishment that increases my momentum and inspiration. It is an encouraging proof that all is not lost in the art world, and I thank you for confirming that. We have an audience in this room that endorses art, And we as artists are very grateful for that. I look forward to continue doing what I do best, to heal the community through art. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. All right, we typically don't have comments on proclamations, but I'm feeling a little jovial this morning. And I've got a request for Ms. Callahan that would like to say a few words. If you'd please come up and give us what you would like to say. Try to keep it as short as possible.
Thank you. I didn't expect be speaking on public, but
We're harmless.
I'm appreciate. Sorry, I'm nervous with my accent. I'm Ukrainian, and art is what helped me to start new life in this country. I do murals. What means big scale of painting with Florida nature, with manatees, with dolphins, because I highly believe we all need to support our nature. And if we don't do it, so who will do? And also, I was honored to participate in exhibition Art for Healing. And I did few pieces of art for this, and my painting was featured on Advanced Health Hospital poster. And art really helps. It helps for our heart, it helps for our soul. It's what keep world beautiful. And beauty is healing.
Amen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. All right, next up is going to be a proclamation proclaiming February 12th, February 16th Food Checkout Week. Commissioner DeLaurie will read this, and Ms. Erin Vermillion will be accepting this award today. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Proclamation of the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming the week of February 12th to February 16th, 2024 as Food Checkout Week in Seminole County. Whereas it is important that Americans have access to healthy foods containing adequate vitamins, minerals, fiber, and other nutrients. And whereas achieving better nutrients with fewer resources remain a shared concern of our citizens. And whereas this concern can be addressed through consumer education about wise shopping strategies, and whereas Florida farmers and ranchers are unmatched in their ability to consistently produce an abundance of safe, nutritious, and abundant and affordable foods, and whereas Florida farmers face significant uncertainties, including inclement weather, damaging insects, and other challenges on a daily basis. And whereas Seminole County farmers, ranchers, and others in the agricultural industry work together in an environmentally sustainable way to help feed the people here in Seminole County, our state, and our nation, and other countries around the world. Now, therefore, proclaim that the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners hereby claim the week of February 12th to February 16th, 2024 as Food Checkout Week in Seminole County, Florida, adopted as 23rd day, January 2024.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, passes unanimously. Ms. Vermillion, if you would like to come forward, have a few words. Good morning, and thank you for being here today.
Good morning. On behalf of the Seminole County Farm Bureau Board of Directors and its members, I want to thank the Commission, the board, for your continued support of local agriculture. As you mentioned, Food Checkout Week, the third week in February, is a time to celebrate the fresh and nutritious foods available to consumers. It's also the same week that the USDA says the average family of 4 earns enough to pay for their annual food supply. Farm Bureau members embrace this time to highlight Florida agriculture and the healthy foods farmers and ranchers provide throughout the year. Several of our community projects that we continue to be involved in include aid to local food banks, including Hope Helps and the Russell House, We're also very supportive of educating the next generation about agriculture and the importance of a safe local food supply. And we also sponsor an annual meeting lunch to bring our local farmers and members of the community together for learning and fellowship. So again, I just want to thank you for your continued support of agriculture in our community.
Thank you, Aaron, very much. All right, we're going to take a short stint. If I can have all the commissioners up front, we'll get pictures with all the recipients. If you all would stage, we'll start with Mr. Voska.
Mr. Chairman, while we're walking down, I just wanted to tell the young lady from Ukraine who came from, that on February 24th at Crane's Roost in Altamont Springs, they will be having a Ukrainian festival. I did not know if you knew that or not, from 12 to 6 to support Ukraine.
That's where you're going to click on to record and do your vote. Yep, for the consent. And then, yes. Yep, you just go to that one and you can.
All set on my count. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Yeah, like for the difference between like, yeah, I was going to say like the difference between docket sounding and like a trial. And then when you go down, that's pretty much. Yeah, because I think you'll just have like a pen. We have a shortcut already.
Oh, really? I can help you out. Okay, good. Push button. It's new.
All right. Perfect. On my count. 3, 2, 1. Thank you all.
One more.
I picked that out. First time I wore participant.
Our artists.
I'm always amazed by the how evil. It's just
Any fellow artists that want to come up for a photo, come on up. Your lovely wife. Amen. Right on.
How are you? Right here. Is that everybody all set? All right. Right here on my count. Please have you take one step to your left, ma'am. Right here on my count in 3, 2, 1. And we're gonna have one more. Right here. We're gonna do 2. First one on my count in 3, 2, 1. And then one more in 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Hey, Miss Aaron? And anyone else that's from our agricultural community, come on down and get your photo, please.
I double count abstentions.
Thank you all.
You all come on, shoot.
Step this way a little bit.
Somebody on that side.
There you go.
There we go. All right. Right here on my count in 3, 2, 1. All right.
Great, thank you
Have a
all.
great day. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all being here.
Somebody's got to draw the line.
That's all. Let's go ahead. Good morning, sir. Yeah, good morning. Yes.
I'm just going to put her on the district.
No, I like that.
I wanted to check with you, but
No, I like that. I like it.
she's not.
That's awesome.
All right, next up is going to be our County Investment Advisor, Mr. Scott McIntyre, who's going to give us our presentation of our investment portfolio. Welcome, Mr. McIntyre, from the great state of Texas.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's been a while. And things have changed a little bit since we last spoke. Inflationary pressure has eased quicker than the Fed thought that it would. That's not evident in the headline numbers that we see sometimes, but in the numbers that they look at, it really is. They look at something called the personal consumption expenditures, and later this week it's expected to look like it's under 2% year over year, which should at least start to sway them to the point where they'll be ready to cut soon. The question is when they're going to cut. Fourth quarter growth was quicker than people expected it would be. When we started the fourth quarter, a lot of folks thought that we would be near zero, and it turned out that it was close between 2 and 2.5%. So for the whole year, it's been a pretty decent year, and when we began last year, most people thought that we would see recession. So at this point, recession is probably off the table entirely for 2024. I'm not sure if that is actually realistic. A lot of the headwinds that we faced last year are still here. We just have gotten so tired of saying it's right around the corner that we're not saying it anymore. Yields plunged in December. It wasn't really what the Fed did in December. It was what Powell said at the press conference in December. And what he said shouldn't have been a surprise, but he admitted to a reporter that they had discussed rate cuts at the meeting. And that was really all the market needed to hear. So it was kind of off and running, and yields moved lower. And the expectation is that for all of 2024, the trend for yields is going to be down. So we peaked in mid to late October, and we have been on a downtrend since then. Very recently, yields have moved higher, which is advantageous in the event that we make some purchases within the next couple days. They moved higher because Fed officials pushed back on the idea that the market thought that they were going to be very aggressive in their cuts. The Fed says, we're not going to be quite as aggressive as the market thinks we're going to be, and that remains to be seen. Of course, every day is a new day, especially in this era. So the choices that we're seeing, and I know this is hard for everybody to see, you guys should be able to see it fine. The U.S. Treasuries, remember what I mark off is the previous two meetings where yields were. So that takes us back to December and November and pretty much current. And the 24-month Treasury got down to 4 inside of 410 a couple weeks ago before the Fed pushed back on that. So the 24-month peaked somewhere around 525 in October. We're now down to roughly 440. And we still see that as an opportunity to buy because we believe that once the Fed does start to cut rates, which I think will be in May, I think they're going to cut basically every meeting for the remainder of the year, and will be quite a bit lower. The banks, the clerk's office had gone to your banks and asked them what would they be willing to pay on a 24-month CD. Almost everybody passed this time. One offered a 3%, one offered a 4.25%. Those are not advantageous anymore, so that's not going to happen. Overnight rates are still attractive because the Fed hasn't actually cut rates, but we're going to step out of some of those, go out on the curve, lock in for longer so that your income, which was advantageous last year, will be as advantageous, if not more advantageous, this year and hopefully into 2025 as well. So upcoming maturities, there are actually none in January. That's by design. When you've got money that's coming in, you really don't want to position funds to mature on top of that. So for the most part, you don't have maturities this month. You do have quite a few in February. You have quite a few more in March. There were a lot of recent investments. A lot of the yields were not where we thought they'd be. We sort of moved back and forth in the projected months and allocated a little bit more where it where the securities actually were. But did get through the clerk's office, got all of those investments done. And I think that they were, if they don't look golden today, they will, within a couple months. That's pretty much right now. We're giving up the yield in hand. We're going out. We're locking in a little bit more into the longer maturities. And we feel like that's going to make a lot of sense going forward. The last three there in the bottom did not settle as of December. They settled in January. So sort of keep that in mind when I look at where the yields are for the overall portfolio. But recommended investments, and I'd like to, if we could, get those done this week where yields are somewhat attractive, but 2 blocks of 20 treasuries or agency, whichever the most advantageous is. Taking those out to October of 2025 where you have a gap in your cash flow and you typically have expense needs in October, and another $20 million out to March 2026, so a little over 2 years. And those expenses as well as balances that we'll draw to make the purchases will come from Florida Prime, where most of the cash is at this point in time. And I'm going to step forward before we step back, if that's okay, and just show you that the portfolio statistics at the end of December, the portfolio yield was 484. You had 28% liquid, 71% was locked into fixed. Going forward with the two, no maturities, but the two $40 million investments, yield actually moves lower, but your fixed floating rate, you've got 80% locked in fixed and 20% floating. It actually takes the yield down a little bit, but if we're marking that against the 1 year and the 2 year, we're pretty much where the 1 year is now and quite a bit above the 2 year. And that's going to improve as we roll forward into 2024. So at this point, I need to have, Chairman, do you want to ask for a motion? I never do.
I will look for a motion. Commissioner Herr?
Chairman, I'm happy to move to implement the recommendations of the financial advisor based on the report that we all just saw here today, and recommend that the clerk implement the recommendations.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Herr, second by Commissioner Glory. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, passed unanimously. Thank you
all.
very much for being here.
Of course.
And good luck to your fellow Texans.
Thank you. You too.
All right, next up is going to be our consent agenda. And if there's anybody in the audience that's here to speak on any of the consent items on our agenda today, there are forms in the lobby that you can fill out. If you want to speak, fill out a yellow form. If you want to just write a written comment entered into the record, fill out the green one. The clerk's right here, or a hand raised, if you'll deliver it to her, and then we'll get to that point. The county attorney will read the rules for public participation.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning. Florida law provides that members of the public shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard on propositions before the Board of County Commissioners, except when the board is acting on emergency or ministerial matters or conducting a meeting exempt from the requirements of the Sunshine Law. Individuals shall be permitted 3 minutes for each for public participation, or 6 minutes when the individual is an official representative of a formal association or group. The chairman may modify the maximum time for public participation at his sole discretion when appropriate. Public comments on quasi-judicial or other public hearing items will occur during the board's consideration of those items this afternoon. Public participation on pending procurement matters or on non-agenda items shall not be permitted at this time. Members of the public desiring to make public comment must fill out a speaker form and present the form to staff, and forms are available in the lobby.
Thank you, Madam. We appreciate that. Next, we are going to make some corrections before I turn it over to the county manager for an inquiry. Note on your agenda, Commissioners, the constitutional officers' consent agenda items are listed as 5 and 6. They're actually 4 and 5. The county manager consent items are listed as 7 through 22. That actually should be 7 through 19. 6 through 19, I'm sorry.
Yep. Apologize
So with
for
that, I will ask the county manager, do you have any changes, updates, sir?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's just 2 items I would like to pull, and I'll bring those back, and that is item on the consent agenda, item number 7 and item number 13. I'll pull those, as well as if you'd like, under the work session agenda, if you want me to go ahead and mention that we are going to be rescheduling the Parks Master Plan presentation and Deer Run Master Plan presentation to another date.
Okay. So those numbers again that you want to pull?
Is 7 and 13.
7 and 13. Any questions from the commissioners on any of those items? Okay. Any commissioner desire to pull any consent item? Commissioner Herr?
No.
I'll look for a motion.
I'll be happy to make a motion to approve items 4 through 19 minus 17 or 7 and 13.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, passes unanimously. Very good. Thank you all very much. Everybody good to continue, or do you need a short break for any reason?
Let's keep going.
Do it. As you heard just a few minutes ago, unfortunately, we will not be hearing the presentation because of a family matter. So we will move to a regular agenda item. First up is going to be item 2023-1463, 2324 Grant and Project Carry Forward Budget Amendment Resolution. Mr. Tim Jex from Management and Budget Director is here to present. Mr. Jex.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Timothy Jex with the Office of Management and Budget. Item number 20 is our annual grant and project carry forward BAR. This item was advertised on January 18th in the Orlando Sentinel. This is a budget amendment that will carry forward available balances from approved projects from last fiscal year 23 and reappropriate them in the current fiscal year 24. Backup reports for this item include a 1-page summary as well as a detailed list of every project being carried forward. The FY23 approved budget included 971 active projects. Of that, 330 projects were completed and 20 projects were deferred, resulting in $17 million being closed back to fund reserves. This leaves 621 active projects to be carried forward into the FY24 budget. The total amount of the BAR is $519,454,736. On the revenue side, we're carrying forward dedicated funding of $102 million in grants plus $5 million in project agreements, which leaves $411.9 million in assigned fund balance. These are revenues collected in a prior year, which were assigned by the board to approved projects and are not part of our unrestricted reserves, and this includes approximately $20 million in our general fund.
Bless you.
Thank you. On the expenditure side, the BAR is balanced. Our grant carry forward includes $24 million in our American Rescue Plan grant, as well as community services grants, stormwater drainage grants, and a SAFER grant in our fire department. Next, our 5 Points project, which is underway. The $99 million carry forward represents the amount of debt proceeds that were available on September 30th of last fiscal year. And we have $149.9 million being carried forward in our sales tax program across 143 active projects. In the utilities and environmental services CIP programs, we have $82 million being carried forward across 118 active projects. In the fire department, we're carrying forward $49 million across 70 active projects, including new fire stations and fleet. We have other projects, which include our building fund, sheriff projects, countywide fleet, and other donation funding. And finally, we're carrying forward $6.7 million into reserves in the general fund related to excess fees received from our sheriff in FY23. We already approved the BAR to take that money from reserves in FY24, so this budget amendment will put that money back into reserves. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Jex. Is there any inquiries by the board to Mr. Jex? Seeing none. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to comment?
No, sir.
Commissioner Lockhart.
So I'll just say how much I appreciated our briefing and going through a lot of these items in detail, because it is an incredibly detailed item. And I think one of the things we've struggled with in the past is communicating with the public that this is not just a bunch of money we couldn't figure out how to spend, so we're rolling it forward. But there are active, dedicated projects that this money is allocated toward already. I hate to use the word earmark, but that might be a phrase that rings familiar with members of the public. So just so that we're clear, because I know sometimes I love the way numbers people speak, but sometimes when numbers people speak, you hear like the Peanuts character, right? So in as plain a language as you can possibly say, could you tell a member of the public how much of this money is just able to be spent on something else?
$6.7 million is going back to our unrestricted reserve.
So out of this really, really massive big number that gets a lot of attention when it's posted in the Orlando Sentinel, $6+ million of that is actually going into unrestricted reserves.
Correct.
Not 40 million, not 100 million, 6 million.
The rest of the revenue is dedicated to individual projects with very specific scopes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lockhart. Anyone else? I want to take a moment and thank Tim. Tim, this has been something that's been near and dear to my heart since I arrived here, was the carry forwards, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the directors and management in working to clean up the carry forwards. It's very important. It's taxpayers' dollars. And as Commissioner Lockhart indicated, understanding what this money is encumbered for projects that are already contracted or in the process of contracting or in some phase of a project. Some of these particular projects may take 5, 6, 7, 8 years or longer to complete. The money is encumbered for those projects, and I'm convinced after several years that we are pretty clean and lean when it comes to the carry forward. So thank you very much. With that, looks at the board. Commissioner Herr.
Chairman, I move to approve BAR 24-017 to carry forward available project budgets and associated fund balances into 2023-24 amended budget.
Second.
Got a first by Commissioner Herr and a second by Commissioner Lockhart. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr. Jex. Next up, we have a consideration of lien reduction request for Code Enforcement Board lien, item number 2023-1454. Liz Parkhurst will present this. Good morning, Liz.
Good morning, sir. Thank you. Liz Parkhurst, Planning Development Department. Item number 21 is a request from Niall J. Kalsa, registered agent for Everlast Group LLC, the current owner, for a reduction of the code enforcement lien for the property located at 1300 Arapahoe Trail in Geneva for code case numbers 06-28-CEB. On November 1, 2005, the previous owner was found to be in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, for the following violations: abandoned, unused, usable appliances, trash and debris, and abandoned vehicles. The Code Enforcement Board issued an order listing a compliance date of May 28, 2006, with a fine of $100 per day if the violations were not corrected. On June 1, 2006, after affidavit of noncompliance was filed by the Code Enforcement Officer, the Board issued an order imposing a lien for noncompliance in the amount of $6,000, with the fine continuing to accrue. The Code Enforcement Officer filed an affidavit of compliance on September 7, 2018, after inspection confirmed the violations were removed. The total lien amount accrued is $448,300 for 4,483 days of noncompliance. Due to the unpaid back taxes, the property was sold on September 23, 2021 to the current owner. Per state statutes 197.552 tax deeds, liens held by the municipal or county government survive the sale of a property through a tax deed transfer. Additionally, due to the state statute, Chapter 162.10, duration of lien requirements, as the lien was imposed on July 27, 2006, it will sunset on July 26, 2026, and will become uncollectible. The applicant is here to request the reduction of lien in order to clear the property title. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve a reduction to the Code Enforcement Board lien for case number 06-28-CEB to $3,000 on the property located at 1300 Arapahoe Trail, Geneva, currently owned by the Everlast Group, LLC, and require this reduced amount to be paid within 60 days, or the lien will revert to the original total amount of $448,300, and authorize the chairman to execute the release of lien when paid. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Parkhurst. Any inquiries by the commission? None? Except, wow.
Well, I think we've probably all had briefings on this
Yes.
item. So.
All right, very good. If you'll give me the latitude, it is my district. I will move to accept a consideration lien reduction of $3,000 for case number 0628 CEB on the property located at 1300 Arapahoe Trail, Geneva, Florida 32732, tax parcel ID 09-20-32301-001R-0000.
I'll second with a point of clarification.
Yes.
I think we're reducing the lien to $3,000?
Correct, from $448,300. Anybody from the public here wish to speak about this before we continue to move?
This is the applicant, sir.
Sir, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Yes, good morning, Board. My name is Nav Khalsa at 205 Woodridge Drive, Geneva, Florida. Now, I was going to ask you too that even though we offered $3,000 on this, I was wanting to find out if you all could waive it less than that, because like I said, it's something that came out from left field. We didn't even expect it. And if there's any consideration for waiving it completely or more nominal, we'd really appreciate that. Because even for this, we'll have to actually get a loan to make payment on this.
Sure, okay.
Thank you.
Any questions of the applicant?
No.
For sure. Seeing none, thank you, sir. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Seeing none, passes unanimously. Thank you very much for being here, sir. Next was our work session that was previously planned that we are going to forgo because of family illness. I do have a request to bring up a discussion before this board that's not on the agenda, a development matter in Orange County on the border of our rural boundary in Commissioner DeLaury's district, District 1, known as the Sustany Development. Rebecca Hammack, I believe, is here to be able to answer any questions. Commissioner DeLaury?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I would like to hear from Ms. Rebecca first, just to give an update, and then I'd like to ask the board to give staff some direction, but I want to hear from staff first.
And to give everybody an idea, the Orange County Board of County Commissioners will be taking this up this afternoon for transmittal hearing as soon as their process gets going, which should be somewhere between 2 and 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Correct. Good morning. For the record, Rebecca Hammock, Development Services Director. So the Sestany project in Orange County is scheduled for the Board of County Commissioners' public hearing agenda this afternoon, which starts at 2 p.m. This is the transmittal hearing for the comprehensive plan amendments that are associated with the project. It does not include the PD rezone at this time. It's just the comprehensive plan amendment. So if it is transmitted, it would then have to come back for adoption, for the adoption hearings. And it's also anticipated that if it is transmitted, the applicant will then submit for their PD rezoning application, and will have more detailed information at that point. So currently, the project is proposing a little under 1,800 single-family units. They are not proposing any commercial development. They are not proposing any multifamily units. It's only detached single-family residential. Their overall proposed density is 2.01 dwelling units per acre, and they have approximately 877 net developable acres. So they are also proposing a 300-foot buffer, environmental buffer from the Seminole County line, and it's estimated that the first structure, the first building, would be over 900 feet from the Seminole County line. So that's where the project stands now, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions. They are also proposing a school site and a fire station site within the project.
Great. Thank you, Rebecca. Any inquiries of Rebecca? I have nothing for Rebecca, but any inquiries from? Thank you, Rebecca. If you would just stay close. To give those that are not familiar with that area, the rural boundary, I know Commissioner Delary is. This parcel backs immediately up to River Cross. This is right on the county line, basically where our rural boundary starts.
Yes.
And this is the next property would be south of where River Cross, that came before us, and we've litigated over a period of time. So with that, I will go to the commission for any inquiries.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I know that this property has made significant changes from the last time we saw this several years ago, but I still also believe that there are still concerns. One of the biggest issues that I have with this property is the stormwater, both pre and post. The stormwater does flow into Seminole County. That is part of the Econ Basin. And we have had significant flooding in that area, and I think it's important that those concerns are addressed, as well as any traffic issues that could potentially come into Seminole County. And those are the concerns that I want to make sure that we're addressing on the record for the County Commissioners of Orange County.
Commissioner Lockhart, then Commissioner Herr, then Commissioner Constantine.
A couple of things. There's 60,000 foot, and then there's granular, and that I'd like to address. And I think stormwater and engineering, this is a transmittal hearing. We're not anywhere close to doing anything like that. And oh, by the way, we're not doing it. It's Orange County. I think philosophically, we've been treading on a very tedious ground, weighing in as a board on a project in another jurisdiction's area. I understand the proximity of it to our county. I understand some of the impacts. We went in with a letter back in April of 2022 with some questions and some things that we were concerned about. I know Rebecca has that. If there are individual members of this board who would like to express their concerns, obviously people are welcome to do that. But as a board, to weigh in on a project, on the specifics, when it has not even gotten to that point in the project's life, I think sets a precedent that Orange County might feel like they have the right to weigh in on our projects as a board. And I remember when we had someone here from the Volusia County Council weighing in, and I remember the members of this board seething while that occurred. So I certainly respect the closest district commissioner's concerns, but I am not comfortable as a board weighing in, even though I'll be honest with you, what I have seen looks like a great project. In fact, it's something that I would probably enjoy living in, frankly, with the community garden and the pollinator corridors and the intense focus on preservation and the collaboration with the University of Florida and the University of Central Florida and monitoring water usage. I think it's an incredibly forward-thinking, sustainable type of project that they're proposing. So we probably wouldn't be able to come to consensus on what type of weighing in this board would do. So I would suggest that if individual members wished to share their opinions, that it be just that, individual board members' opinions, and not this board as a whole.
Commissioner Herr?
I think Rebecca took a breath.
Oh.
If it's okay, Chairman,
Sure.
I just wanted to provide some additional information on what they're planning for their stormwater that might provide some help. But they are required to do a green infrastructure plan, and they are planning on doing a low-impact design. So they are proposing enhanced stormwater systems, and they're actually going to have like an ecological park that's connected to their stormwater. And because they're in the Econ River Protection Area, they have to have enhanced stormwater requirements. So they're not at that point in the development, but conceptually, that's all outlined within their regulating plan. And then when they come back for the rezoning and then their actual subdivision, each of the neighborhoods is required to have that enhanced stormwater system. And they did send our concerns also. I've been working with Maria Cahill in Orange County, and she did send our specific stormwater requirements to Public Works, so they are aware of them. And we can work closely with them as it gets further in development, if it gets transmitted and ultimately adopted.
Okay. Any other inquiries? Mr. Herr?
Not an inquiry for Rebecca, but I can't fathom how we would go across jurisdictional lines as a board and weigh in on their development plans, not only now, but in the future. I'm not even 100% certain that weighing in as individuals is appropriate, given our position in the community. I think what Rebecca is doing in cooperating with their teams to make sure that it's done to the specifications of the requirements on our side of the equation is appropriate. But we struggle every time Tallahassee overreaches. And we did want to kick the Volusia County Commissioner off of the podium. It was palpable. And so I just can't fathom this. And by the way, it's not lost on me that we're fighting for no development and they're fighting for development, which is just interesting in and of itself. But I wouldn't want it happening in reverse, and I think we have to respect jurisdictional lines. We are not elected in Orange County. They are.
Mr. Constantine?
Thank you very much. Philosophically, we are, I think, when we took some requests to Orange County, asking them to consider our concerns, I don't think we were telling them what to do. We were asking them to evaluate the impacts that would have on Seminole County. And since it was brought up, the Volusia County Commissioner was talking about conservation space, which he has absolutely no idea of what we were doing in Seminole County, and it wasn't about development. This is about development on our border. And the fact of the matter is, we have every right, just like we have had for years and years when it was called the Development of Regional Impact, to consider concerns that would cross our borders and impact our citizens and their proposed quality of life and their taxes, et cetera. Commissioner Delory is correct to be concerned about the flooding. I believe that there are transportation concerns. I believe that with the opportunity to go back and forth in schools and them not even putting together a school, and we having great schools right along the border, that we should be concerned, even though it is not directly our responsibility, but it is our citizens that would be impacted when it comes to potential schools. I've looked at this project also. I have met with the development community that was involved with this. It is better than the previous project, no doubt. They are looking at a number of positive things. But for us to say that it is not our responsibility to look at the impacts that would affect us, because, you know, there's no walls, there's no border lines. This transportation will go back and forth. Commerce will go back and forth. Water will go back and forth. And for us to say that it isn't our responsibility, I think is negligent. This is a project where we are talking about, on our side of the border, 1 to 5 to 1 to 10 units per acre. This is 2+ units per acre. It's a massive difference. And I think just like our letter previously, we weren't telling Orange County what to do. We were simply asking them to take into consideration our concerns. And I think that that is wholly appropriate and the correct decision to make, as far as, please, just like our previous letter, please, as you are putting this project together, here are our concerns about the impacts on our side of the border. And as I've said to you before, even when we have a shared fire department at UCF, this will affect that potential, timing that we're talking about. So there's a lot of concerns here. I'm not telling Orange County what to do. I am asking them, because we don't have the development of regional impact project anymore, which we would have had a great deal of impact on us, a great deal of opportunity to tell them our concerns. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the chairman, the district commissioner, is simply asking us to reinforce our concerns that we have already suggested to Orange County as to when they are looking at this project, please take these issues into consideration. Is that what you're asking for?
That's exactly what I'm asking.
And I think that that is wholly appropriate, and we should absolutely do that.
Commissioner Lockhart, Commissioner Herr, and then I'll try to bring all this in for a landing.
You and Representative Plakin, she wanted everybody to bring her comments in for a landing.
That's right.
We wrote a letter in April of 2022 doing exactly that, expressing the concerns that we would have on, quote, our side of the border. Ms. Hammock, could I ask you, have any of those concerns changed? Are they the same concerns today that they were in April of 2022?
The concerns haven't changed. Some of them, I believe, have been alleviated. The crossing of the river on McCulloch, that is, there'll be no vehicular crossing. It's only pedestrian and bicycles, and I think they're going to also allow e-bikes. So they are connecting the trail to UCF. The remaining concerns, I believe, from that original letter are probably the timing of the construction of the new fire station. They've had various studies done that are looking at possibly widening Chiliota Road from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, and then ultimately how the stormwater is designed. But I think they are addressing our previous concerns through what they're requiring through the stormwater.
So an additional letter that would be written today, or a memo that would need to be sent to somehow, because I'm assuming we're attempting to influence this board if we're doing this morning before we've identified that their meeting is this afternoon, and we're wanting to get something on the record or something in writing before this afternoon. It would only be because we're be because we're attempting to influence that outcome. So the letter that we would send, or the message that we would send to that board today would be, I'm assuming, I'm drafting this in my head of what it might sound like. It would be something like, thank you for addressing our concerns from the April 2022 letter. We appreciate that the majority of them have been addressed, and these are the 3 things that we still see as concerns that we would like to have because we certainly wouldn't be saying we're opposed to it, right?
I haven't had my 2 cents worth.
Well, I'm just asking what, because Commissioner
there's been some things that have
Constantine,
been
well, let me just
said.
finish. Commissioner Constantine has confirmed with you, both of you, what it is that you are requesting, and so I'm asking for additional confirmation. Are you requesting that we send a letter saying we are opposed or supportive?
No, what I'm requesting is the district commissioner has requested this come up for discussion, and this board have a consensus of what it is we want to do. Do you want to reiterate the letter that's already been sent? Do you want to redraft a new letter? Do you want to do nothing? What is it that...
So I'll answer that so that you can bring it in for landing. So I would either do nothing, or I would send a letter saying, thank you for addressing all of the things that we have already asked for. We're grateful that most of them have been addressed positively. Those would be one of my 2 choices.
Okay. Commissioner Herr, then Commissioner DeLaury. And after Commissioner DeLaury, I'm going to cut it off and get back to me and try to wrap this thing up.
First of all, this was, correct me if I'm wrong, I did all the briefings, I read the board book cover to cover. Was this addressed? This was just an item that popped onto an agenda that we had no awareness of?
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't miss a memo. And the mention of, which may have been coincidental, but I doubt it, they're having a meeting this afternoon and we think we should weigh in, is just so uncool, I can't get there. And so I think if we're going to do this, they had to have published this weeks ago. We had to have known where this was going if this is such a great concern. We should have been able to be briefed on what it is this letter looks like. I am completely uncomfortable writing a letter from the dais. That is just not a precedent we should be setting. I concur with Commissioner Constantine about a responsibility to weigh in responsibly, but this went well beyond that in terms of what I thought the ask was. And so we've already sent a letter. It is very clear to them what the letter says because they're already acting on it. I am just not convinced that the way we did this is acceptable from a board practice perspective.
Mr. DeLaury?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that we've brought this up from the dais a couple of times over the past month or so because we've asked the board to weigh in and get briefed with the staff members. I know we did that, I think it was in December sometime or beginning of January. I can't remember the exact date. I was going to bring this up at the last meeting, but because of the weather issues that everyone really rushed to get the meeting over with, if I remember right, I didn't bring it up. And as I was aware that this was coming up at today's meeting, I just wanted to make sure that our concerns are being addressed. I'm not telling anyone to stop development. I'm not telling anyone that they should, put the brakes on anything and overstep our bounds. Our concerns, at least I believe our concerns, are the stormwater that will be moving north. The way the river runs and the way the stormwater runs in this area, it does move north from Orange County, across the county line, in through Chiliota, up into the Econ Basin, and actually into the St. Johns River. So any of the water that's going to be moving will be moving through the Chiliota area. That is one of my concerns. I want to make sure that those are addressed. There are also going to be some traffic implications. I just want to make sure those are addressed as well. And I think that we have every fiduciary responsibility to let them know what our concerns are, and if they can address them, that would be appropriate. That's what my concerns are, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So I've heard from 3 or 4 residents who have called with concerns. So and I don't want to belabor this, but I'll give you a history lesson, or a history background, not a lesson. My late wife and I were the individuals that had horses at the commission meeting in Orange County in 2010 when this was first brought up to be developed. It has changed significantly.
It has.
To the better, no question about it. It has been put on agendas in Orange County, pulled off agendas in Orange County. The applicant has pulled the application midstream multiple times, et cetera, et cetera. So let's really talk about what the real issue that I have with this is. See the 3 roads going down through the project? The white lines? That's Lake Pickett Road. Lake Pickett Road is a rural road, 2-lane highway, and just below that is the Grow development, which is approximately 2,200 units getting ready to break ground, which will be just below this on Highway 50. County Road 419 is already developer funded to be widened to a 4-lane all the way to Lake Pickett Road, which means the issue you're going to have, and I have with this is, you have 3 roads dumping out on Lake Pickett Road, which is a 2-lane road, and running to 419, either going south to Highway 50, once it's 4-laned, or on the 2-lane, or coming north through Chuliota, Oviedo, and that's, if you go out there any given day, that's what majority of them do, because it's quicker to go through Oviedo to get to the expressway to get to downtown Orlando than it is to go to Highway 50, get on the 417 to get to Orlando, believe it or not. It's longer, but it's much shorter. The residents out there have been clamoring. They can't get out in the morning. They can't get out. There's been numerous crashes on 419. This is only going to magnify the congestion right through the rural area on County Road 419. That's the first issue I have with it. I have seen the development of the Grow as it lines up with this. County staff at Orange County purposely asked this developer to line these up with the other 3 roads to the south, which go through the Grow. Here's the problem. If you had the Grow project up here, and if staff had it, they could bring it up, nobody in their right mind is going to go through the Grow to get to Highway 50, because it literally takes 8 turns, multiple 4-lane stops to get through the Grow to get to Highway 50. So it's going to be a nightmare on the corridor 419 coming into Chuliota and up through into Oviedo, et cetera, et cetera. The other issue is it does in fact sit on the Econ River. Everything from basically the corner of State Route 50 and 520, where the drag strip is in Orange County, drains north into the Oviedo watershed basin, and then up through, as Commissioner Laurie indicated, up into the St. John's, eventually through the Econ River, through Geneva, right to the heart of where we've had all the flooding that's been taking place that we are all aware of throughout the whole region. So my position is, I agree with just about everything that's been said here. We have no desire to tell Orange County what they should do or what they must do. Albeit, I will say, in Commissioner Constantine's district, I can remember when Orange County weighed in and concerns about border development in Seminole County in that corridor over around the Orange Blossom Trail 436 area. So I don't think we have a desire to tell their commission what to do, but I think we do owe it to our constituency to ensure the concerns are heard, whether that is polish this letter up, get rid of the things that are originally in it that are now taken care of. That would be my sense of what should be done.
All I'm asking for.
But I'm not in favor of telling somebody what they should do.
Nobody is.
Give them our concerns, and like I think we would do, if we had concerns given to us from another municipality, we would take those with honest consideration and do our best under our code to do whatever we could. That's all I'm saying. I have no interest in telling somebody what to do.
Is it your suggestion that we're giving the same letter back again, just to reiterate the concerns, or are we starting from scratch?
Well, I think we need to look at removing the crossing of the Econ, because that's not happening now. That's been taken off the books. There's not a proposed roadway over there.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't talk about crossing Econ, excuse me.
Understood, but it's in the original letter.
I understand
So
that.
there's no sense sending that original letter
And I
because...
just think that a letter that's updating what our concerns are should be sent.
And, Mr. Chairman, most of our concerns are still out there. It's not like
Correct.
they've addressed most of our concerns. Most of our concerns are still out there. The crossing of the Econ is off the table.
Correct.
Because, where they were talking about building a bridge to get to Hammock Road. But the rest, or McCullough Road, excuse me, but the rest of it is still there, maybe less as an impact as it might have been before, but it's still there. The flooding, the schools, the public safety, all of those are still in play, if you will.
Correct, understood. Commissioner Lockhart.
Well, since it's been said by all of us that our attempt is not to influence or tell the Orange County Commission what it is that we would like for them to do, then I would suggest that staff draft a letter that's updated and circulate it to us so that our offices can see it, and then we can send the letter after we've all had a chance to review it, and staff is comfortable with it, and then it doesn't impact or influence today's discussion, because all of the things we're talking about don't occur at this point in the process anyway. And so that takes away my concern, certainly.
They actually do in our Orange County code.
We're
It's different than ours. So those roads that you see on that map, that's the way they're going to end up.
I think
Unless there's
I would
some-
like to ask Ms. Hammock that, because I think she's been working with the Orange County team, and we have made it very, we've made it very clear that we don't draft letters from the dais on the fly, especially with this complexity. So, Ms. Hammock, can you help us understand what would happen if we didn't get that letter to them today?
So my understanding at this point, it's a conceptual regulating plan for the comprehensive plan amendments, which shows conceptually the access points. I'm assuming that these access points would be approved if the comprehensive plan amendment's approved, but I also understand that there could be changes based on the PD, which would show more detail. I had discussion with them regarding Chiliota Road, and at this point, they're only showing one access point, but there was some indication in the correspondence that there could be changes to that with the PD plan. So I don't think this is finalized, but I do think more of the details will be, if this gets transmitted and ultimately adopted, we do have time to let them know of our concerns and work with them during the PD process. But in terms of those roadways, I do believe that if this plan gets approved, they would ultimately be approved for those access points.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I just think that a letter should be sent out today. I really do. Doesn't need to be in great detail, but...
Commissioner Herr?
In anticipation of that, the only alternative that I see, because we cannot be writing letters from the dais, and we cannot be telling staff or the chairman to write a letter that we don't all agree with. So the alternative that I can maybe thread the needle is to send the existing letter with a two-sentence cover that says something to the effect of, "Thank you for attending to the issues that have been attended to, and we'd like to reiterate the other issues in this letter as discussed by our board." That's it.
Is that a motion?
Mr.
Mr.
We
Chairman,
have a hand up down here.
All right, thank you. And I don't know if this is a question for Rebecca. Has Seminole County informed Orange County that we want to be a part of the review process? Because, okay.
Yes.
All right, so we have done that.
And previously, with the original letter, we had requested that it be entered into the record and also be included with the transmittal documents, so we could ask the same in this case, too.
I'd be happy to make that as a motion.
Have a motion?
I'll second the motion.
Second by the District Commissioner, Commissioner Delory. Any further conversation? Seeing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none. Ms. Hammock, is that something you believe you can handle?
Yep.
Great. And you will get it to
Yes, we'll forward it on this.
Mr. Gray?
Yes. This
for
afternoon.
review?
In the future.
Make sure we can get it to our offices maybe during our break to ensure that we get everybody's happy with that.
Yes.
Commissioner Lockhart.
In the future, I think it would be appropriate and collegial for anything that the district commissioner may plan to bring forward but forgot to bring forward because of time.
I didn't forget to bring it, I just couldn't because everybody was closing down the meeting because of the
Well,
inclement
between
weather.
that meeting and this morning, there were a lot of days that an email could have been sent. I think we have a collegiality issue that we need to make sure doesn't occur in the future. If it does, I will absolutely wholeheartedly stand in opposition.
Well, I can tell you that I have spoken to the county manager before today regarding this issue, and I've spoken to him about this for a couple of days regarding this issue. I don't speak to my fellow commissioners about items bringing up that we're going to be voting on. I don't do that.
Commissioner Zembauer knew to.
I don't know how
tee
he
it up.
heard about it, but you need to speak to the county manager about that.
When did you, Rebecca, when were the briefings given to the commission?
So I've been sending updates periodically through email
Sure.
and then just asking for if there have been
But
any questions.
this latest communication from our staff?
I believe my email went out last week, and I sent a more comprehensive update, I think, on December 20th.
Okay.
And there was
Just wanna
nothing
make
in
sure.
that asking this board to weigh in.
No.
Exactly.
That's not my point. My point is to make sure that we were getting communication from our staff.
Absolutely.
From Orange County through our staff to us.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm trying to do.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Anything else for the good of the order? Seeing none, we'll be in adjournment until 1:30. Thank you all very much.